Food sustainability. A term heard often, but what does it really mean? Well, at its core, food sustainability refers to the needs of today without compromising those of the future. It refers to advanced farming techniques, ecosystem protection, improved yields, and nutrient dense foods. In today's world, with a rapid escalation in climate change, food sustainability must be a priority. Africa is a diverse continent with natural beauty, spanning from deserts to forests to grasslands. However, even with fertile lands and biodiversity, the continent as a whole faces extreme poverty and hunger rates, most notably outside major city centers. The second goal of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals focuses on ending world hunger, achieving food security, improving nutritional values, and promoting sustainable agriculture practices. But when facing complex climate challenges and irreversible damage to the environment, this poses difficulties to meeting these goals by 2030. The media often depicts the African continent as a place plagued by conflict, disease, poverty, and famine. Yet, the focus should be on the resilience and innovation as governments, NGOs, and nonprofits have aided Africa in becoming a global leader in implementing sustainable farming practices, improving access to clean water, and developing robust food systems, all which will help to eradicate famine across the continent. It is often said that water is the key to life, though millions of African residents lack access to clean and reliable water sources. Where there is no water, there is no farming. But the same can be said for where there is too much water, farming becomes unsustainable. Due to the relative location of the continent along the equator, some states are affected by flooding, while others face extreme drought. Another prevalent issue that contributes to food instability is genetically modified organisms. Supporters of GMOs argue that these methods can increase yields, improve nutrition, and reduce the use of pesticides. Due to the differences between rural and urban areas throughout Africa, food sources are not as accessible in some areas, particularly those affected by flooding or drought. So, how does a shortage of food connect to greenhouse gas emissions and a rise in the global temperature? Well, transportation is needed in order to distribute food, and with new infrastructure development throughout the continent, there is a steady increase in the number of vehicles on the roads. Aside from citizen use of personal vehicles, large trucks and tractors are the primary means of transportation for agricultural products into city centers and stores. But that's not all. In fact, large cargo ships and planes that bring in imported goods are some of the greatest contributors to a rise in greenhouse gas emissions due to their large scale. Emissions from these vehicles have led to an exponential rise in water and air pollutants, contaminating local ecosystems and waterways and affecting the survival rate of many species. The Sustainable Development Goals set forth by the United Nations aim to address pressing challenges spanning from global hunger to climate change to gender equality and education. Despite progress over the past few years, millions of African residents continue to suffer from hunger and malnutrition. It does not help that these challenges are exacerbated by climate change and political and economic instabilities. The Sustainable Development Goals offer steps that can improve the underlying causes of food insecurity in order to improve hunger and malnutrition rates, such as promoting sustainable agriculture, reducing and relocating food waste, and ensuring nutritious food for all. Organizations such as Food and Trees for Africa have been implementing programs to address hunger and poor health issues. These have included educating on the importance of nutritious foods to school children and rural communities. One of their most notable initiatives, however, is the Food Forests Initiative, in which volunteers plant trees and implement long term greening and food security interventions. Additionally, trees are planted at schools and community centers to target specific food needs. These trees are generally fruit or nuts. With at least 1 in 5 Africans facing extreme hunger and malnutrition, and nearly 140 million facing food insecurity, Africa is in need of an urgent improvement plan. Achieving food security requires addressing four main aspects: availability, accessibility, affordability, and utilization. This can be done by increasing agricultural productivity, improving food distribution programs, and increasing affordability and education about nutritious foods. On the other hand, systematic changes relating to agriculture, trade, and policy must take place to ensure a sustainable future. One approach that has been increasing agricultural productivity is evergreen agriculture, a system that uses shrubs and perennial plants in farming areas in order to improve soil productivity. Other steps that can be taken include improving farming technology, promoting sustainable land use, and strengthening food markets in vulnerable communities. Food sustainability is a pressing need in many African countries, especially those located along the equator, due to drastic effects resulting from climate change. Located on the western side of Africa and not far from the equator, Ghana is facing critical issues regarding sustainable food systems. Over 40% of Ghana's population is employed within the agricultural sector. Most of the farming relies upon rainfall, and over the past few decades, this has posed issues due to unpredictable weather patterns. In 2022, the Food and Agriculture Organization reported that nearly 13 million people in Ghana were affected by moderate to severe food insecurity. This is partly due to the country's dependence on imports of goods such as rice and poultry. In order to meet the demand and ensure nutritious and accessible food for Ghanaians, there needs to be promotion of nutrient rich crops, improved food storage and distribution systems, and preservation techniques. One of the nonprofits working to strengthen food sustainability in the country is the Ghana Food Movement. This organization focuses on supporting farmers and local food markets through constructing locally focused food systems. Such systems are crucial for food security and biodiversity conservation. Kenya is another coastal African country, though it is located on the eastern side of the continent. The food sustainability challenges that residents of Kenya face are due to population growth, rising global temperatures, and gender inequalities. Similar to Ghana, a large percentage of the population works within the agricultural sector. The 2023 Global Hunger Index rates Kenya 90th out of 125 countries, a slight improvement from previous years, yet it is still a concern. The Global Hunger Index is calculated by analyzing undernourishment, child wasting, in which there is a low weight for height, child stunting, in which there is a low height for age, and child mortality rates. In recent years, child stunting has been the largest contributor to Kenya's ranking, where over 25% of the population has a low height for their age. This is followed by undernourishment at nearly 20% and child wasting and mortality around 4%. Food poverty continues to plague Kenya, especially in rural areas where nearly 35% of the population lives below the poverty line. With foreign aid increasing from countries such as the United States, Kenyan agricultural systems have improved. Farmers have more accessibility to local markets and new infrastructure as well as technology. The transition to sustainable farming is vital for Kenya as it will enhance resilience to disease and pests, as well as improve nutritional values and soil fertility. Social development, natural resource preservation, crop diversification, and food importation, all ways in which sustainable agricultural systems can be improved, ensuring equitable access to nutritious foods for all. In South Africa, poverty rates have dropped in recent times. However, vulnerable areas are still facing high malnutrition. There have been some initiatives to improve social development, such as community gardens and local farming, which is helping to increase employment and improve access to nutritional foods. Having rich biodiversity, it is crucial that South Africa's natural resources are preserved to ensure sustainable food systems. In order for preservation to be effective, native plants must be protected, ecosystems kept clean, and community members educated on the importance of waste reduction. Furthermore, water must be used efficiently, and during the rainy seasons, rainwater should continue to be stored for periods of harvest. Diversifying crops is another important aspect of food sustainability as it mitigates reliance on limited crops and improves nutritional values. The implementation of agroecology practices, such as organic farming and crop rotation, can minimize the impact of farming on the environment and allow for crop production year round. As the country brings in many nutrient dense foods, South Africa can diversify their crops to lessen the dependence on foreign imports. The South African government has developed a plan with a focus on enhancing local production of nutritious foods, promoting social, economic, and environmental resilience, and collaborating to ensure strong policies and legislation are in place. In Niger, food sustainability has greatly improved due to the 3N initiative, Nigerians Nourishing Nigerians. This was a result of a political move to combat high poverty and malnutrition rates. The focus is on reducing poverty by improving resilience to food insecurity, in which droughts no longer mean famine. This initiative specifically targets rural areas, women, and children who are most susceptible to food challenges. Floods and droughts often strike the country, leading to soil erosion and desertification, decreasing crop yields and soil fertility. This project promotes irrigation and erosion control practices, as well as forest productivity. Niger is serving as a leader in food sustainability as a result of the success of this initiative, where the percentage of people suffering from hunger has improved by 50% over the last dozen years. Additionally, gender equality within the realms of food security has improved among the female population in Niger. Women led community gardens of up to 100 females collaborate to reduce the time it takes to grow crops while increasing yields exponentially. Advanced technologies such as drip irrigation systems and seed banks allow for crop diversification and water conservation. Furthermore, these gardens produce cash crops, resulting in females making fair wages and enabling community members to be able to live comfortably. Throughout the African continent over the past decade, there have been many proposed initiatives to improve food sustainability, particularly in vulnerable areas. 1. Agroecology, to promote sustainable farming practices with organic fertilizers and crop rotations. 2. Research investment, to find the most drought resistant agricultural products, smart sustainable technologies, and pest resistant crops. 3. Empowerment of local farmers by providing new technologies, proper tools, and access to local markets. 4. Gender equality, particularly in the agricultural sector. 5. Infrastructure development, including paved roads, storage units, and irrigation systems. 6. Education provided to community members about nutrition and biodiversity. 7. Enhanced policies to prioritize equitable access to nutrition dense foods and sustainable resource management. Although the diverse continent faces food sustainability challenges due to political, economic, environmental, and social factors, international organizations have been working diligently to implement practices and policies that will allow the continent to make steady improvement towards zero hunger by 2030 and ensure a food sustainable future for all.